Whispers by Harry, read by Deathlight. Rainbow Dash screamed in agony just beyond the thick wooden door of Twilight's treehouse. What was happening to her out there to make her scream that way was sickening to even think about. Pinkie Pie lay dead on the floor in the library. Her face was almost unrecognizable after what had happened. Her mouth was shattered from the inside out, bits of bony flesh poking out where areas of skin had cut open. Her eyes were a darkened shade of red, with a mixture of tears and blood still dripping out of the sockets. Twilight, in her panic, knowing that the whispers were in her home, was attempting to ignore the foul smells which was coming from naught but a few meters behind her. Fluttershy cuddled next to Twilight as tears poured from her eyes. For Fluttershy, it was the only comfort she had in a situation such as this. But for Twilight, it was just another distraction as she read through the book in front of her. She wouldn't tell Fluttershy she wasn't helping though, she was scared enough as it was. The book had plenty of description about the creatures and where they came from, but had nothing about how to stop them. To the Twilight? Fluttershy said, in between the tears. What is it, Fluttershy? She replied, forcing a smile past her fear. Are we gonna die? I don't want to die. I want to go home. She sobbed quietly. We'll be fine, I promise. Twilight whispered back. She then turned her attention back to the book in front of her. Whispers are invisible, and they use this for their incredible silence while moving to stalk their prey. However, this strength is also their greatest weakness. When coated with a liquid or powdery substance, they will take shape and become visible. This is the only possible way to know that a whisper is coming, and can be used to the prey's advantage while trying to escape. That's it! Fluttershy, go to the kitchen quick, and find a container to fill with water. I'll stay here and see if there's anything else in this book. Fluttershy wiped her eyes and nodded quickly before running into the kitchen. The air was much cleaner in this area of the home. The smell was that of clean products, rather than bloody flesh and vomit. Fluttershy welcomed the new smell greatly, and began to search for a container. She shifted through the many cupboards that outlined Twilight's kitchen. After a little more than a minute of searching, she came across a bucket. It was large, and more than light enough for her to carry. Fluttershy reached into the cupboard and pulled it out with her mouth, then used her hoof to lift up the lever of the tap, avoiding pushing it up too far. She knew too well it was a life and death situation, but she couldn't help it. She hated splashing water everywhere, and now was not an exception. After another minute or so of filling the bucket up with water, she began to walk quickly back to Twilight, who was still reading her book. She took great care with every step to avoid spilling even a drop of water on the floor and wasting it. She then rested the bucket beside Twilight's book and tapped Twilight on the shoulder, who now had a grin on her face. Twilight, I got the water for you. Fluttershy said, with a sense of accomplishment in her voice. That's great news, but we won't be needing it anymore. Twilight spoke quietly. She then turned to Fluttershy, with the grin still on her face. Why won't we need the water? Fluttershy instantly recognized the grin. It was the same grin that Rarity had, the same one Applejack had, the same one Pinkie had. The grin was the same on every resident of Ponyville before dying. Twilight then opened her mouth and spoke with a grunted tone, not much louder than a whisper. We have her now, Fluttershy. She's already dead. I think you deserve some sort of medal. You're the last pony in this vile town to have some sort of chance of surviving. Fluttershy squeaked, her tears blurring her vision once again. She's my last friend. The now possessed Twilight moved closer to Fluttershy and stroked her hair gently. She continued to speak in that horrific whispering voice. I'm sorry, but it's what we have to do. How will Celestia take her threat seriously if you let any pony live just because another pony said we should? But I know just what's as good, maybe even better. I'll let your friend have control of your thoughts while I control your actions. Sound good to you? Fluttershy cried quietly. She didn't want to lose another friend. It would destroy her. The grin then left Twilight's face as she gained control of her mind once again. Hey Fluttershy, you got the water. Now we may have a chance. Fluttershy continued to cry as Twilight walked up to one of her bookshelves. Twilight now knew she was just a puppet of the Whispers and was as good as dead. I'm sorry, Fluttershy. I should have made us stick together. It's all my fault. Just promise me when it's over, when they're all gone, that you'll remember us. I'll never forget you. Fluttershy spoke through her sobs. Twilight had now removed one of the shelves of the bookcase and was carrying it into the kitchen. Whatever this thing does to me, I won't cry. I won't give this thing the satisfaction it craves. Twilight said as she laid the wooden shelf over the lit candle. As the shelf began to alight, Twilight reached into the cupboard and pulled out 2 bottles of cleaning liquids. Both were marked as flammable. Oh no, oh no 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 no! Fluttershy screamed. She had seen what happened to the others. She knew she'd suffer if she tried to stop what was happening to Twilight. The now powerless unicorn began to spill the liquids all around the room, and then lifted the now half-burnt shelf to her front hooves. I'm so sorry, Fluttershy. I love you. Were the last words Twilight spoke before dropping the burning wood onto the floor. Within seconds, the whole kitchen became a bonfire. Standing in the middle of it, unable to move, was Twilight. The flames slowly started to engulf her entire body as Fluttershy watched. Twilight's skin began to blister and peel off, allowing her flesh to be exposed to the flames. She was in incredible pain and wanted to scream, but she kept her promise to Fluttershy and she wouldn't break it. Fluttershy's tears covered most of her face now. She knew her friend was in pain, and she wasn't going to show it. The flames were now starting to spread quickly into the main library, but she ignored the increasing heat so she could keep Twilight company in her final moments. The flames are now starting to melt Twilight's face. Fleshy cheeks had become exposed, and boiling blood poured from her mouth, which stung her even more. She then collapsed into the flames, no longer becoming visible. She had passed out from the immense pain, and was now left for dead. If she had collapsed, it was likely the Whisper had left her body to come for Fluttershy. A sudden burst of fire then broke out of the kitchen, and sprayed small fireballs around Fluttershy. The room was burning uncontrollably, and the front door was blocked by countless objects barricading the door. She had no choice but to run upstairs and escape through the window. As she began to run to Twilight's sleeping quarters, she turned her head to look back at the kitchen, where her friend had died seconds before. When looking back, she noticed something in flames. In the middle of the room, the fire was forming a shape. It seemed to form a body-like shape, once and for all, revealing the Whisper. It seemed to be panicking, flailing around, trying to stop the flames. Fluttershy stared at it, pleased that the monster responsible for her friend's death was in the same pain it had given without a care. The flames were now at the bottom of the stairway, and catching up with Fluttershy, who had taken a moment to watch Twilight's killer burn. Once at the top of the stairs, Fluttershy noticed something was wrong. The bookcase, which was usually on the opposite side of the room to Twilight's bed, was now propped up against the window. The Whisper that had got inside must have realized this was an escape route, and made a rushed effort to block it before moving down to kill them. Fluttershy forced all the little strength she had inside her to try to move the bookcase away from the window. The more she tried, the more she began to accept it was over. She had no chance of escaping her fiery death now. She eventually stopped, trying to move the bookcase out of the way, and laid down, facing towards the quickly approaching flames. The tears stopped coming out as she began to talk to herself. What's the point? Even if I could get outside, a whisper would just be waiting for me. All my friends are dead. All my pets are dead. I have nothing left. It's pointless trying to survive when there's nothing to look forward to afterwards. Segments of the floor had become unstable and began to collapse into the space below the bedroom. Fluttershy didn't care. She just wanted all this to be over, so she could be away from all this forever. Fire now spread to the top of the tree and it burned the little support it had. One by one, the supports gave way, and the top of the tree began to collapse around her in fragile parts. Fluttershy sighed and closed her eyes. She could now feel the heat against her face, and the smoke was making her feel sick. In the final moments before it reached her, Fluttershy smiled as a single tear came down her face. She'd be with her friends soon, and that made her happy. There's nothing else in Fluttershy's mind. It was empty. Just a never-ending trail of darkness. Fluttershy opened her eyes, her vision now extremely blurry. Was she dead? She didn't feel dead. As her vision began to clear, she was greeted by two faces. She recognized them both. One of them was Princess Celestia, and the other one was Rainbow Dash? Fluttershy's eyes opened wide as she quickly sprung up to a sitting position. You awake then, I take it? Princess Celestia spoke with a smile. Why yes, I'm awake. But how am I alive? How are you alive, Rainbow Dash? I heard the whispers kill you. That's easy. I pretended to kill myself. Rainbow Dash said, also bearing a proud smile. I pretended to crash land so the whispers would leave me alone. When the tree was burning, part of the side fell off, and I saw you inside. You were starting to catch fire, so I took my chance and got you out of there. After that, I brought us to Canterlot to find Princess Celestia. I can't thank you enough, Fluttershy said, making sure Rainbow saw her gratitude. It was nothing, really, Rainbow Dash replied. Fluttershy then reached out to hug her, tears beginning to build up in her eyes. Celestia then continued to speak. You two are very lucky to survive an attack from the Whispers. They are an old enemy of mine, and they're going to continue the cowardly attacks all over Equestria. Don't worry though, I have a plan to stop them for good. Rainbow faced the princess. So we can stop them? We can, and we'll stop them, Celestia replied, but we have to wait until the time is right. Also, before I forget, when Fluttershy recovers, you two and a group of others are going to be sent back to Ponyville to rebuild. You'll be the new mayors when it is done. Oh my, that's a big request, Fluttershy said with surprise. We can earn Ponyville, Fluttershy. It'll be fun. Rainbow Dash reassured her. It's good to know that both of you are willing to accept the responsibility. You're welcome to stay in the palace until you're recovered and ready to go back to Ponyville. On that note, Celestia left the room through an arched marble doorway. After 2 weeks of recovering from her burns, Fluttershy and Rainbow Dash, along with their team of builders, were sent back to Ponyville to begin rebuilding. As they entered once more into the busy town, they were hit instantly by grotesque memories of 2 weeks before. The dead bodies littering the streets, and the foul smells which filled the air became fresh in their minds once again. There were only a couple of damaged houses still standing in Ponyville now. After Rainbow and Fluttershy escaped, the fire spread through the whole town, sealing the fate of anyone who may have still been alive. Alright, you two go and plan where we can build, and we'll see about taking down these remains, their repair leader said. Okay, thanks. Rainbow Dash said back. Fluttershy, let's go. Fluttershy? Rainbow Dash looked around to see Fluttershy standing in the middle of where Troya's library used to stand. Rainbow Dash flew over and landed beside her. They're all gone. Why couldn't they take us? Why couldn't we die instead of them? Fluttershy spoke quietly. She tried to hold back her tears as she stared at where the kitchen used to be. Come on, Fluttershy. I know they're gone, and it makes me sad too. But they want us to carry on our lives normally. Now come here and let's start rebuilding this place. Rainbow Dash patted her gently on the shoulder and flew back to the builders. Fluttershy looked to Rainbow and back to the ground where Twilight died. Her tears began to flow out, but she was smiling. We'll never forget you, she whispered as she began to hover in the air and slowly fly over to Rainbow. She would remember until the day she died. The Whisperers had destroyed countless lives, but soon they would know how it felt to have their own close ones taken away from them. Hello everyone, I'm back in my apartment, and I will remind you that I do have a Patreon one-time donation. I'm so sorry I haven't been posting for a while. I've been really tired as of late. But now I finally actually have a schedule hashed out, so that's really helpful for me. And part of my problem was, the reason why I didn't really want to post anything is I kind of had to find myself again. Because when I started this channel, I started just pretty much to work on my auditory skills, because I was pretty much functionally disabled. I couldn't hold a conversation with anybody at all without stuttering or having to take long pauses to think about things or anything like that. And when I say long, I mean it was like 10 seconds long to think about things, what they said, and it was just bad. So I made this channel for me to just kind of work on that more or less, because I went over to the doctors and they pretty much just told me, yeah, we're just going to have you read to us and tell us if you understand the stories or not. And they wanted like $1,000+ per visit for that, and I'm like, no, I can do it on my own, I believe. So yeah, I had to find myself, because it stopped being more about that, because I've gotten a lot better since then, and I just had to find myself on why I was still doing it. And the reason is pretty much just you guys. I enjoy doing this, and I enjoy doing it for anybody who will listen. So I guess with that now, I will leave you, and have a good night, everyone.